All right, hello and welcome to this training. As you can see from the title, what we're going to be covering today is how to control energy before it turns into your reality. As you can see from the overview, what we're going to be talking about more specifically is first the overview itself, the energy precedes reality principle, the control layer, engineering your energetic output, the review, and your action items for the day or the next few days. Now, before we get started, if you want to work with me one-on-one, then make sure to book a call from the link in the description. We work with entrepreneurs, high performers, and professionals to basically help them master every aspect of their life and every pillar of their life, which in our opinion, or in my opinion, is health, wealth, love, and self. And happiness takes care of itself when you take care of these pillars. With that said, if you want this training along with this document, then make sure to join the free community from the link in the description, where we publish all of these trainings along with their respective texts. And if you want weekly newsletters helping you improve every aspect of your life, meaning health, wealth, love, and self, then make sure to join the free newsletter, again, from the link in the description. With that said, let's get started and talk about the energy precedes reality principle. So a lot of people think reality creates their energy. Something good happens, so they feel good. Something bad happens, so they feel bad. And their entire emotional and energetic state is really just a reaction to whatever is going on around them. And that's the default mode, and it's completely backwards. So the actual sequence, the one that every high-performing person eventually figures out, is that energy comes first. Your internal state precedes and shapes your external reality, not the other way around. Now, the conventional understanding of the energy reality sequence is that external events determine your internal state, and almost everyone operates from this assumption without ever really questioning it. And it feels very obvious, and it feels obviously true, that most people would never really think to examine whether there's another way the sequence could work. Now, the default sequence goes like this. Something happens in your external world, you react emotionally to that event, and the emotional reaction then determines your energy for the next period of time, whatever that is. And that energy influences your behavior, which then influences your results, which creates the next external event, and the cycle repeats. And when you're operating from the default sequence, your entire life is very reactive, where your energy is basically determined by whatever happened most recently. And good days are the ones where good things happen to you, and bad days are the ones where bad things happen to you. Very common sense, right? And you have almost no control over the overall trajectory of your experience. And the default sequence puts you in a position where your state is always at the mercy of basically external forces, meaning you're essentially a passenger in your own experience. And that passenger position is so normalized that most people don't even realize that there's actually an alternative. And the inversion of the sequence is basically recognizing that your internal energy state can be set independently of external circumstances, and that the energy you bring to a situation essentially shapes the situation far more than the situation shapes your energy. So when you set your energy first before any external event, your energy becomes the cause rather than the effect. And this is a fundamental shift in how you relate to your own experience, where you move from being shaped by reality to shaping reality through the energy you bring to it. And you've actually experienced this inversion already, even if you didn't label it this way exactly. You've had days where you woke up in a great state, right? And everything seemed to go well. Even if things weren't going well, it seemed like they were going well, because now your perception is different because of your energy. And days where you woke up in a terrible state and everything seemed to go wrong happened too. And the difference wasn't luck. It was the energy you were carrying into each interaction and each decision that day. And so the mechanism by which energy precedes reality is actually quite straightforward when you break it down. And it operates through perception, behavior, and also social dynamics, all of which are directly influenced by your internal energetic state in ways that compound throughout the entire day. Now, your energy state directly filters your perception, meaning when you're in a high energy, positive state, you literally see opportunities and connections and possibilities that are invisible to you when you're in a low energy negative state. And this perceptual filtering means that the same objective reality looks completely different than depending on what energy you're bringing to it, right? So the brain's reticular activating system selectively highlights information that matches your current state, which means a confident, high energy person and an anxious, depleted person will walk through the same room and see completely different things. Or they might see the same objective reality, the same exact things, but they will perceive them differently. Their interpretation of whatever is happening in that room will be very, very different. And because their interpretation is different, they'll get different results. And so these different perceptions, perspectives, and interpretations lead to completely different actions and completely different outcomes. And the perceptual filtering compounds throughout the day, where a high energy morning typically leads to seeing an opportunity that leads to a positive interaction that then reinforces the high energy that leads to seeing the next opportunity. And that upward spiral is essentially the mechanism by which energy creates reality in real time. And so your energy state directly determines the quality and character of your behavior, where high energy states produce decisive, creative, proactive behavior, and you've probably experienced this, while low energy states produce hesitant, reactive, and avoidant behavior. And the behavioral difference alone is really enough to explain a massive divergence in outcomes between two people in identical circumstances. So the quality of your work and your conversations and your decisions and your presence is directly proportional to the quality of your energy when you're doing that. And this means that managing your energy is actually the highest leverage productivity strategy available. Higher leverage than time management or skill development or any other optimization. And so consistent high energy behavior over time produces compound results that also look like talent or luck to outside observers, but are actually just the accumulated output of someone who's been showing up in a peak state day after day after day. And so there's also a societal interpersonal kind of dimension to energy, where the energy you carry into any interaction directly influences how other people respond to you. And this social effect also amplifies the individual effects of perception and behavior into something way larger. So energy is contagious in social settings, meaning the person with the strongest frame and with the strongest energy in any room tends to set the tone for the entire interaction. And when you consistently show up with high, clear, intentional energy, you naturally influence the energy of the people around you, which changes the dynamics of every interaction in your favor. And so this energetic influence operates below conscious awareness, where people don't think about why they feel more engaged in your presence or more open or more collaborative around you. They just do. And that unconscious influence creates opportunities and connections that would never emerge if you basically showed up in a depleted or reactive state. And so the social reciprocity of energy also means that when you bring high energy into an interaction, people tend to match it and bring their best as well, which means your energetic investment creates a multiplied return through the elevated responses of everyone around you. And over long time horizons, your consistent energetic state determines what you attract into your life, meaning the people, opportunities, and circumstances that show up tend to match the frequency you're operating at. And at the very least, even if they don't, you perceive them in that way, so you're better off regardless. And so this attraction dynamic is one of the most powerful and most misunderstood forces, in my opinion, in personal development. Now, people and opportunities that match your energy are naturally drawn towards you, while those that don't match tend to fall away. And this natural matching process, operating over months and years, gradually reshapes your entire life to essentially reflect whatever energy you're consistently putting out. And it relates a lot to the mirror principle, where who you are is what you will get, right? And this matching dynamic also means you bear a real responsibility for your energetic state, where the life you're living right now, to a significant degree, is a reflection of the energy you've been consistently carrying and putting out, and accepting that responsibility is uncomfortable, but also very necessary for real change. And while it's uncomfortable, it is freeing as well, because if you had the power to get your life to the position it is in right now, then you also have the power to change, right? So with that said, let's talk about the control layer. So energy precedes reality. That's the principle. Now the question is, how do you actually control your energy? How do you set it deliberately rather than letting it be determined by whatever happens to you? And the answer is that energy control is a skill. It's something you build through specific practices applied consistently over time. And the practices are not really complicated. They're just rarely taught and even more rarely applied with the discipline that they actually require. Now, the first step in energy control is awareness, meaning you develop the ability to accurately perceive your own current energetic state at any given moment. And while this sounds very simple, most people go through their entire day without ever checking in with their own energy level. And I think that lack of awareness means that they can't manage what they can't see. And Charlie Munger said something similar, or at least it's attributed to him, where you can't improve what you don't measure, right? And I'm paraphrasing here, but you get the gist. Building a practice of regular energy monitoring throughout the day, where you pause every hour or two and honestly assess your current state on a simple scale, will give you data that most people never have. And most people don't even think that they can do this. And that data will reveal patterns, triggers, and rhythms that are the foundation for energy management. And the monitoring also reveals your personal energy patterns, meaning the times of day when your energy naturally peaks and dips, and the activities that energize versus deplete you, and the triggers that shift your state in predictable ways. And so understanding those patterns is what will allow you to design your day around them rather than fighting against them, which a lot of the times is an exercise in futility. And recording the monitoring data in your journal will also create a record that reveals macro patterns that are invisible in the moment, like how your sleep quality maybe affected your energy the next day, or for example, how certain types of social interactions consistently drain you. And those macro patterns are the most actionable insights for longer-term energy optimization. Now, awareness also includes identifying your specific energy triggers, both positive and negative, meaning the people, situations, thoughts, and environments that predictably shift your energy in a particular direction. And knowing these triggers will give you the ability to either seek them out or avoid them deliberately. So identifying your top 5 negative energy triggers and creating strategies for handling each one, whether that's avoidance or reframing or preloading a positive state before the exposure, eliminates the most common sources of energy depletion in your daily life. And equally, identifying your top 5 positive energy triggers and deliberately incorporating more of them into your daily routine creates a base level of energy that's higher than what most people experience. And that elevated baseline will make everything else in your day work better. For me, that's, for example, working out. I do it every single day because of that reason, right? It's a positive energy trigger for me. My whole day just feels better. And, you can prove that by countless of studies and research where working out does, in fact, increase your energy. And so you need to find yours. Maybe that's working out. Maybe it's something else. But once you have awareness, the next step is really developing the ability to deliberately shift your state, meaning you can move from a low energy depleted state to a high energy resourceful state through intentional practice rather than waiting for external circumstances to change your mood. Now, the fastest and most reliable way to shift your state is through your body, meaning changes in your physiology directly and immediately change your emotional and energetic state. Tony Robbins said something similar here, where he said motion creates emotion, right? Even 2 minutes of intense physical movement, whether that's jumping or walking briskly or doing push-ups, produces a measurable shift in your neurochemistry and your subjective energy level. And this is the fastest state change tool available, faster than any mental technique or affirmation. On top of that, deliberate breathing patterns like box breathing, where you have 4 counts in, 4 hold, 4 out, and 4 hold, meaning seconds, 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds out, and then 4 seconds hold again. For calming or rapid breathing, for energizing, All of those will give you precise control over your autonomic nervous system, which is the master switch for your energetic state. And so learning to use that switch deliberately is one of the most valuable skills you can develop, and you can by using your breath. Now, the mental dimension of state control also involves choosing your focus deliberately, meaning you direct your own attention towards thoughts, memories, and mental images that produce the state you want, rather than letting your attention wander into whatever happens to be most salient or most anxious at the most moment. Now, your energy follows your focus with almost perfect correlation, meaning whatever you're paying attention to is determining your state. And this means that managing your attention is managing your energy. And the ability to redirect your attention from depleting thoughts to energizing ones is a direct lever on your energetic state. And a deliberate morning priming practice, for example, where you spend the first 10 to 15 minutes of your day intentionally setting your own focus on your goals, your identity, and your gratitude, will establish an energetic foundation that carries through the entire day for the rest of the day. And this is just one example here. Now, the third piece of energy control is maintenance, meaning you build daily systems and habits that sustain your energy throughout the day rather than allowing it to crash and requiring constant recovery. So the foundational energy habits are sleep, nutrition, movement, and hydration. And yes, they sound super basic, but most people are underperforming in at least two of these four. And so the cumulative effect of poor sleep or poor nutrition or insufficient movement or dehydration or a combination of any of those is an energy deficit that really no mental technique can actually overcome. Sleep is the single most impactful variable for daily energy. And so improving your sleep quality by even 15 to 20% through consistent sleep times, for example, or reduced screen exposure before bed, or using some kind of blue light blockers in a cool, dark room will produce a dramatic improvement in your baseline energy that will compound across every aspect of your performance for the rest of the day and for the rest of the week, honestly. And you might have noticed that even one bad night of sleep kind of can derail your whole week, right? And you can't catch up on sleep. Now, daily movement, even 20 to 30 minutes of moderate exercise, produces neurochemical changes that elevate your energy for the entire day. And the energy investment of the exercise session will pay back many times over in increased productivity, clarity, and emotional stability throughout the remaining hours. So you might think that you're wasting time when in reality, movement is a multiplier. Now, building deliberate recovery periods into your day, like short breaks between deep work blocks or a brief afternoon reset, will also prevent the progressive energy depletion that most people experience as the day goes on. And those recovery periods will also allow you to maintain a consistently high energy level from morning to evening rather than experiencing the typical afternoon crash. So working in rhythm with your ultradian cycles, meaning 90 minutes of focused work, followed by anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes of genuine rest, will maintain your energy at a sustainably high level throughout the whole day. And also this rhythmic approach will produce more total output than the conventional approach of powering through until you crash, which for a lot of people is not really a lot of focused work anyway. So the quality of the recovery matters as much as the duration. And I've mentioned this a lot of times, where genuine renewal activities like a brief walk or some stretching or even just sitting quietly and staring at a wall with zero inputs produce much better energy restoration than so-called breaks that involve social media or email or some watching videos and so on, which are actually energy draining disguised as rest. Now, with that covered, let's move into engineering your energetic output. So you understand the principle, energy precedes reality. You've developed the control layer, awareness, state management, maintenance. Now the final piece is learning to engineer your energetic output for specific situations and goals, meaning you don't just maintain a generally high energy, you learn to calibrate and direct your energy with precision towards the outcomes that you want to produce. So different situations call for different types of energy, right? If you're having a laid back conversation with a friend, you're not going to be acting in the same way as you do on a sales call, hopefully, right? And learning to calibrate your energy to match the needs of each specific context is what separates someone who's generally energetic from someone who's strategically powerful, where the right energy in the right situation produces outsized results that raw intensity alone can never achieve. So, a creative work session, for example, calls for a more relaxed, open, exploratory energy, while a negotiation call maybe needs more grounded, clear, assertive energy. And a relationship conversation calls for a warm, present, receptive energy. So, the ability to shift between those modes deliberately, matching your energy to the context rather than bringing the same energy to every situation, is a sophisticated skill that produces dramatically better outcomes across every area of your life. I can't tell you how many times I see it where entrepreneurs work all day, they're on sales calls, they have negotiation calls, etc. They maybe are on their computer writing all day, and then they go with that same energy to their family. And then they wonder why there's so many misunderstandings between them and their significant other, for example. It's not the same, right? You can't just you can't switch so quickly. So you're just carrying the same energy you carried all day into from your business into your relationship, and it doesn't work that way. Energy mismatches, like bringing aggressive energy to a creative session or scattered energy to a focused task, or what I just mentioned, are one of the most common and most costly mistakes people make. And most people don't even realize they're doing it because they've never learned to distinguish between different types of energy or to calibrate deliberately. And the calibration starts before the activity begins, where you take 30 seconds to a minute or a bit more, maybe 5 minutes, to set your energy for the upcoming task or the upcoming situation, applying that same priming principle to individual activities throughout the day rather than just the morning. And learning to modulate your intensity, meaning how much energy you're bringing to any given moment, prevents the common pattern of burnout that comes from running at maximum intensity all the time, and the ability to dial your energy up for key moments and dial it down for recovery periods will create a more sustainable high performance over months and years. So, identifying the 2 to 3 moments in your day that benefit most from peak energy, and then deliberately saving your highest intensity for those moments rather than spreading it evenly across the entire day, will produce a much larger total impact from the same total energy budget. And energy conservation during low leverage activities, meaning you consciously dial down your intensity during, for example, admin work or some chores around home or errands or routine tasks and transitions, will preserve your capacity for the high leverage moments that actually matter. And that conservation mindset will treat your energy as the finite resource it is. And now, beyond calibration, you can also learn to direct your energy towards specific outcomes, meaning you use your energetic state as a tool for manifestation in the practical, non mystical sense of the word, where the energy you bring to a goal shapes the actions you take and the opportunities you see, and therefore shapes the outcome. So, combining a high energy state with detailed visualization of your desired outcome will create a powerful alignment between your internal state and then your external goals, right? And this alignment is the mechanism by which intention translates into action and action translates into results. So the key to effective visualization is really feeling, meaning you don't just see the outcome in your mind, you feel the energy of having achieved it in your body. And that felt sense creates a motivational pull towards the outcome that's far more powerful than just intellectual, logical goal setting alone. And incorporating this visualization plus energy practice into your daily routine, even for just 3 to 5 minutes, creates a sustained energetic direction that accumulates over time and then gradually pulls your behavior, your perception, and your circumstances into alignment with the outcome you're actually holding in your energy. And so you can also learn to transmit your energy intentionally in social situations, meaning you deliberately use your energetic state to influence the dynamics of a conversation or a meeting or a presentation or a sales call, etc. And this transmission capacity is what separates people who are merely energetic from people who are genuinely influential. This is what we used to also learn in sales when I was in sales, is that sales is to a big degree a transfer of energy, a transfer of state, right? The foundation of energetic transmission is presence, meaning you're fully in the moment with your attention and your energy focused on the person or the people you're with or the situation you're in. And that full presence is felt by everyone else. And it creates a quality of connection that distracted, scattered energy simply cannot produce. And I had big trouble with this because I would always be in my head, when in reality I was never present on these calls for a big amount of time. And so that is also a skill by itself, learning to be there, learning to be in the moment, not thinking about what you're going to say next, but actually listening, actually taking everything in. And so energetic transmission at scale is, I think, what leadership is to a big degree, where the leader's energy sets the tone for the entire team or organization as well, for an entire company. I think to a big degree, culture in a company is really a transfer of state and energy. And developing the capacity to hold a strong, clear, intentional energy in group settings is, I think, one of the most practically valuable skills that you can develop for any professional context. And the long-term path of energy mastery is learning to maintain a consistently high, clear, intentional energy state as your default, where the elevated state isn't something you have to manufacture every morning, but something that arises naturally from the practices, the identity work, and the self-awareness you've built. As the practices become more integrated into who you are rather than things you do, the energy management becomes automatic, meaning you don't have to think about controlling your energy anymore because your default state is already high, clear, and aligned, and that automatic high state is the compound result of everything we've talked about here. The awareness, the state control, the maintenance, the calibration, the direction. And the natural high energy state feels effortless in a way that manufactured energy will never do, where you're not really pumping yourself up or forcing positivity. You're simply operating from a baseline that's been elevated through consistent practice, which is what we really want. We don't want to be faking our high energy. We want to create it and basically raise that baseline so that we can always be high energy. And that effortless quality is both the sign of and the reward of genuine energy mastery. And so the natural state is sustainable in a way that forced high energy isn't, where you can maintain it indefinitely. Because it's not being generated through willpower or stimulation or trying to hype yourself up or downing 1,000 milligrams of caffeine or whatever. It's arising from the depth of your self-awareness, the clarity of your identity, and also the alignment of your daily practices with your values and goals. And the ultimate expression of energy mastery is living in a reality that you've shaped through your consistent energetic output, where the people around you, the opportunities available to you, the circumstances of your daily life, all of them reflect the energy you've been putting out for months and years. And that reflection is proof that the principle is real and that the work works. So at this level, you're no longer managing your energy to cope with reality. You're using your energy to create reality. And the distinction between those two things is the distinction between surviving and truly living, between reacting to what happens and authoring what happens. And so everything we've talked through here, the principle that energy precedes reality, the awareness and state management tool, the calibration and direction of your energetic output, all of it points to one thing: learning to control the energy you put into the world before it turns into the reality you live in. And that's the whole game. So with that said, let's cover the review. We talked about the energy precedes reality principle, the control layer, engineering your energetic output, the review, and finally, your action items for the day or the next few days. First, start tracking your energy state 3 times per day, morning, midday, and evening in your journal, noting the level, maybe 1 to 10, maybe 1 to 100, the quality, and also the primary influence on each reading. And then do this for 2 weeks to establish your personal energy patterns and identify your biggest drains and biggest boosters. Then design a 10-minute morning energy priming routine that includes physical movement, deliberate breathing, and visualization of your desired state for the day, and then commit to doing it every morning for 30 days before evaluating the results. And then finally, choose your 3 highest leverage activities this week, and before each one, spend 60 seconds deliberately setting the specific type and intensity of energy that the activity requires, and then journal afterwards about how the preset energy influenced the quality of your output. With that said, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was valuable. If you want to work with me one-on-one, as I said earlier, make sure to book a call from the link in the description. We work with entrepreneurs, professionals, high performers in different fields to basically help them master every aspect of their life, meaning health, wealth, love, and self, with one complete system. If you want this training along with its respective document, then make sure to join the free community from the link in the description. And if you want weekly newsletters helping you improve every aspect of your life, then make sure to join the free newsletter from the link in the description. Again, thank you for being here. I hope this was valuable, and I'll see you in the next one.